This is a Chicky Beat production.
Come on up and introduce yourself.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everyone doing today?
Good.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to see y'all, pleasure to talk to you guys. My name is Taylor Sterling and I'm an illustrator. I'm an illustrator, so I draw comics, album covers, pretty much anything that somebody needs, I'll draw it. You know, that's kind of how I get down. I have a comic book company. This is my business right here, Red Arcis Entertainment. And through that business, I actually do a lot of shows like New York Comic Con, or there's one in Newark. Comic Con's actually been really big. I go there and I basically sell my artwork, and I'll show you a little bit of that every single day. What are you passionate about? And for me, it's always been kind of easy for me. I've always been passionate about art. I've always drawn, starting with like Looney Tunes and things like that when I was a kid, and then eventually got into more superhero stuff, which Mike is going to scroll through some of that stuff as it goes. One thing I could definitely tell you when you're following your passion a lot of times equates to like what you feel emotionally, and then the business is the analytical side. So like there's a balance that you kind of have to keep from start to finish. A lot of times when you are thinking about doing a passion project, it's hard to separate the business. Well, it's hard to incorporate a business aspect or a business like plan around it, because a lot of times like, oh man, you know what, I want to do this, or like I want to start this business, but a lot of times you might not be completely ready in order to do all of that. So really, classes like this are very, very important. I want to hear some of you guys, what are you guys passionate about? Someone tell me something, that one particular thing of a field that you really like.
Sports.
Sports, okay.
So like sports.
Playing sports or like sports management?
Sports management.
Okay.
Both.
Okay. You look like you could be a sports manager. See, what is he doing here? He's dressing the part, right? That's a big component. Like you look polished, and that's what you want to do. Every time you walk into a situation, you're judging it, and you want to know, am I prepared properly? And dressing the part is a big thing. You know what I'm saying? Anybody else passionate about something? Okay.
Drawing.
What? Trying what?
Drawing.
Okay. Well, let me see some of your stuff.
No.
No? Okay, so that right there, it's a work in progress. It's not a problem. It's a challenge. We have to get past the whole I don't want to share. Like it's scary sometimes to share what you're passionate about because of a little bit of fear of like them saying something negative about it or not liking it, right? But art's subjective. That's the beautiful thing about art, or really anything, any type of art form. They could say, oh, this player on this particular team Kobe's not really that good to me. Like some people could think like that, and then everybody else could be like, what are you talking about? Like I'm saying, like everybody's, it's certain. It's as an example, art can be subjective in any way, shape, or form. So if you're passionate about art, like, do you want to make money at that?
I would.
Do you want to is the question.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want you to marinate eventually on how could I possibly make money on this, right? So, and passion on it.
I would like to say like health and human sciences and visual arts.
Visual arts?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I'm a painter and I create a lot of pottery.
Okay. So you're with your hands creating the pottery and then painting?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So what do you see yourself possibly doing with that?
With both passions, I would like to go into like, in a sense, like cosmetic field and health, because like it's sort of both. I discovered like you get to really hands-on create something, and while like I'm still having that science aspect within my life.
Okay. So there's two aspects of that, which is awesome. You guys are afforded to be able to do what you want to do right now. And that's a beautiful thing, because when you get to the stage where you're an adult and you have to like make money and you got to work a regular job, there's not a lot of room to like play around. You know what I mean? You got to get real serious real quick, because that's just part of adulthood. So take advantage of the opportunities you have now and show your parents the respect they deserve for putting you up and allowing you to live in your house for free, not paying any bills, and literally take advantage of just being young and having a good time and learning.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Because you said that you was doing art as a young kid, did you ever felt like, you know, art, like you like probably doodling in like your notebook or that, like distracted you from like your schoolwork, or like you ever felt like you was kind of falling behind in your academic because of drawing? And if so, how did you manage to like go around that and succeed?
Well, you know, the fact that matters is that your passion and what you love to do is always going to get in the way of other things. But you have to like figure out, it's a juggling act, especially as an adult. Like, and you ask any adult in here, it's a juggling act, whether they've got kids and bills and all these things. It's like you're just doing this all day. So there are times when I've been at work and I've got art projects that I need to finish that interfere with me finishing my job. Like, because not only when I'm doing this, I also do a lot of freelance work for other companies. So like if I have a project, like, oh man, like I gotta finish this project, I gotta get focused and take my time away from what I really wanna do to finish this freelance work for somebody else. Because ultimately, my thing has always been is like, I wanna work for myself. I wanna be my own boss. I don't want anybody telling me what to do, when to do it at all, right? So to answer your question, it can distract you at times, but you don't want to let that deter you from continuing to do it. Came back. Just love the David Curl.
What kind of professional training or schooling do you have to prepare for your career? And were you, your first job, did you have internships? How did you break into the field?
Right? So internships is a big thing. It's a really big thing, because that's what I did. I actually interned and I worked with Marvel for about a year. And if you're humble while you're working there, or at any internship, and you know you have a sense of humility and you're willing to do some remedial stuff, like take out the trash or work in the basement or fold clothes or whatever it is that you do for the company that you know you're interning at, and they see that you're humble and you're willing to work hard and you know go further, people are going to up you, right? So I'll give you a little bit of story about my work at Marvel. So I started working in at the basement, and it's right here in New York. It was on 5th Avenue at 437 5th Avenue, this old Japanese bank that smelled terrible because they used to cook in there or something. It's a real weird building. But I started out in the basement, and every single time you work on a comic book, you actually get copies of your work. So I would actually have to arrange the letters, like put comic books in letters and send them to artists all over the world. Now, I was working for a really not so nice guy, and he was a little tough on me and my other the other guys that were interning, but I was humble and I was keeping an open mind, and I was like, okay, well, this eventually will lead to something else. And when you have that mentality in your mind, like everything that I do, if I'm approaching it with a good attitude, is going to lead me to something else, whether it's I'm learning about myself or whether I'm learning about this business overall.
And then another question is like, I used to like draw manga and anime a lot.
Okay.
But I had no time for it anymore. So like, if I wanted to pick up back those skills like and try to like get to where I want to be, like I really want to be really good at it. Just I don't have no time for it.
Yeah.
So what do I do?
How much do you go out? How much do you hang out with your boys?
A lot. I have
There's your time right
I
there.
have both practice.
You just answered your own question. And I'm going to get into the topic on sacrifice later and how important that is. When I went to school at NJCU, and I was telling Mike about this, you know, when we first sat down, I said, Mike, how much time do you spend hanging out with your friends? How much time do you spend at work? How much time do you spend not working on what it is that you want to work on? So we had a very serious conversation about the type of sacrifice he was willing to take in order to be successful, in order to work and get better. Because it's one step at a time. Getting better is one step at a time. Nothing happens overnight. So if you want to get better with your art, you have to continue to practice every day. Draw as much you possibly can. And draw a lot of people too. Like, because people are gonna help you understand, people are gonna help you understand like how, like lighting, like gestures, it's gonna help you understand, it's gonna make your art better if you're studying people and watching them and drawing them. You asked me a question earlier about you guys, well, it was you and then you, about my favorite artist. So, so the senator over here. I got a few favorite artists. One of my favorite artists is a guy named Adam Hughes. And he does a lot of like pin-up illustrations, so like a lot of really cool women about art, like art about women and like, you know, different superheroes and stuff like that. One artist that you want to write down who's incredibly talented is a guy named Mashindo. A really good artist who, a personal friend of mine who also inspires me with his work is a guy named Reno Masad. He's a Puerto Rican guy, he's incredible, and his stuff is amazing. My mentor, one second, young lady, I'll be right with you. There's another incredible artist who's my mentor, who works for DC Comics. His name is Ryan Benjamin. Yeah, Ryan Benjamin's got some incredible stuff. Please, you have a question for me?
Yes, are you aware of any women who work in the field? Because all of the artists you've named us were men.
Are men. Okay, that's a fantastic question. One of the women who actually mentored me when I was starting comics, her name is Rashida Lewis. So, Rashida Lewis owns a comic book company called New Wave Productions, and she basically creates comic books about women in Egypt. And one of the things that my father told me, which is something that I still think about to this day, is playing to your strengths. He said, because all my family calls me TJ. That's my nickname. So he says, TJ, the best thing for you to do in anything is play to your strengths. And I said, Dad, what do you mean by playing to your strengths? So that's about knowing yourself and who you are and knowing what works for you. Like, look, you know what? I'm most productive when I've got my green tea, when I've got like a little snack, and like I'm listening to my favorite song or whatever, my favorite album, right? So what am I doing there? Like I'm taking all the things that I feel make me the most productive, and I'm putting that in my space while I'm working. So what it does is I'm building myself up and I'm playing to my strengths, because I know I'm my most productive when I work this way, or when I work with these types of items, or when I work in this particular space. It's about it's about telling a great story that everybody can relate to, and that's really what it is. So even though the entire platform is not set up for us to win, regardless of what the platform is, I'm gonna win anyways. And why? Because I'm gonna reinvent the wheel, and I'm gonna do something different, and I'm gonna continue to like better myself. Because as long as you don't allow anything like that to hold you back, and you're gonna continue to do what you do, and you're gonna continue to build yourself up, you're gonna get to a point where your work is so good that there's no one that can deny it.
Like it is with Dave, do you still prefer to work with just pen and paper, or like pencil and paper, or do you at times prefer to draw on like an iPad or something?
So to answer each question, he's talking about the traditional aspect and the digital aspect. We're all about, I'm about being progressive. Like, we all have to, like, the way to stay competitive in any industry is you have to learn the new techniques, and you have to stay on top of what's current. So traditionally speaking, penciling and drawing on paper is how things used to be done. Now, it takes way longer to accomplish a comic book if you're drawing it on pencil versus digital. And this is just my personal opinion of what's worked for me, because I'm playing to my strengths, is what I was talking about earlier, right? I started out my very first comic book, and a lot of the stuff that I started doing started out as pencil on paper, and then I'd scan it into the computer, and then I'd ink it, and then I'd digitally color it. But if I'm drawing digitally now, everything's already in the computer, and then I can color it right there. cuts out almost 2 steps and it makes me that much faster. But then also, like, let's say somebody wants to file the completed artwork today versus tomorrow, I'm able to get it there faster. And if I'm able to get it there faster, then I get the job again, and again. So it's again about moving with the times. I still do draw on paper from time to time, but more or less now I'm doing everything digital. Like right now I'm working on issue 1 of, the second issue of Alchemist, and that's all digital, everything. From the time I was younger, I took as many art classes as I could. Well, my parents were just like, okay, well, we don't want him sitting in front of the TV, so just put him in a class. So when I was in middle school, high school, it's like I'd take these extracurricular art classes, you know, the sculpture, the painting. So when you take extra classes outside, there's no real pressure to like, okay, I gotta get the grade, I gotta finish the assignment. Like there is a certain level of pressure, but it's minimal because it's like a summer class and it's more of like, again, because it's extracurricular. But because you're relaxed and you're learning, it actually gets you ahead of the game when you get into situations like college because you already have all this extra experience. Mr. Britton, we gotta wrap up?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you so much for allowing me to take the time. And again, remember how powerful you really are. And again, trust yourself and really, you know, again, work really, really hard and sacrifice for what you really want to do. So thank you guys.
Yeah.